Hello and welcome to Bardscraft. I have received a quest of utmost importance from my benevolent patron Niklas. Today we are making an epic mushroom diorama. To make the big mushrooms, we're gonna use our most annoying but effective material, hot glue. I began by quickly shaping a rocky cave wall from the foam. Right now, the idea is to figure out how nice mushrooms we can create. As seen in our sophisticated plan, miniatures should be able to stand and jump on the large mushrooms. Basically, to create the mass of the mushrooms, I applied several layers of hot glue, always waiting for a while between layers. In fact, 3D printing of mushrooms is much easier when your glue is quite cool. My gun was unplugged for most of the time. Yeah, now this is fun and effortless. Enough mushroom talk for now. Let's put together our diorama on whatever junk we can find. A cardboard base will do good for today. I'll try to save the little hot glue I have left. I decided to make some sort of a railroad using spruce. A collapsed railroad used by some strange Underdark slave workers. I cut the spruce a bit shorter and then added some deep cuts and scratches as textures. I glued these on, then thought for a while, how much sense do these make? Then stopped thinking. One more fallen bit here inside the mushroom should look good. As for the supports between the rails, matches will do well. I glued these on very carefully, as always. By placing these only partially attached to the rails, we get the illusion of an even more ruined railroad. Let's make a small extra piece of terrain. Doing this increases playability a lot without the need of building a huge diorama that you can't fit anywhere. I shaped a small stone formation, then made some more of the mushrooms. This was much quicker, now that I knew what I was doing. I glued it on and made a bit of railroad as well, for the fun of it. Yeah, that's good. Next I took this wood filler to be used as textures and filling. It needs a bit of water, now it's easier to apply all around. First I covered everything. I was easily able to hide the cardboard edges, which was nice. Here on top I also put a cardboard piece to add some height and shape to the hill. I had no idea, so I decided to make some weird wavy textures on the surface. This is in the Underdark, so it might work. It might make sense. In order to add more texture, I took some sand and sprinkled it on. This I did while the wood filler was wet. I also covered the backside to make this look more like a cake. After a half eternity, this seemed solid enough. Next I took some baking parchment and made a few large mushroom caps from hot glue. The first one was a mess, but the other ones are good enough. I poked in sticks and shaped the stalks with more hot glue. I got them nice and thick and then cut off the excess. Nice mushrooms. I glued these on the terrain using super glue. Now it's important to get rid of extra hot glue strings and junk. I also made additional textures in the foam. Next, all of this can be painted with black. I found my long lost white paint. With this, I sprayed a zenithal highlight. Okay, it looks pretty good already. First I painted the ground with a messy mixture of dark brown, green and dark purple. Just paint these diluted colors with no respect. It might look good in the end, as it always does, trust me. I also applied dark purple on the stone surfaces because I had the paint on the brush. While the paint was wet, I also added some blue. The paint looks odd now, but it gets darker when it dries. Next I dry brushed most things with grey. We get some highlights on the stone and the ground. I left the diorama quite dark and continued by painting the mushrooms with a thin layer of purple. After a while I reapplied purple on the highlights. Great, now we can add vibrant blue. I dry brushed this color onto about half of the mushrooms. We get the blue on the highlights while the recesses remain purple. I was also able to make a nice transition on the mushroom caps by brushing mainly on one side. In order to create a smooth transition, make sure to have very little paint on a dry brush, take your time and slowly get color onto the mushrooms. We get even more color by dry brushing the remaining mushrooms with pink. Good, these bright mushrooms are starting to catch the eye and hide whatever we don't want to look at that much. Talking about hiding things, this video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. By using a virtual private network, you can protect your privacy and access content that otherwise might be restricted or censored in your area. For example, with Surfshark you can unlock the 15 largest Netflix libraries and watch what you want. Just change your location with one click. The app is super easy to use and you can get it on all your devices on a single subscription. What I especially like about Surfshark is that you can instantly disable all ads. Yes, even on my videos. Right now you can get Surfshark VPN for a ridiculous 83% off and even get 3 months for free by following the link in the description and entering my promo code BardsCraft. These sponsors really help the channel, so make sure to go thanks Surfshark by trying it out. Alright, next, the railroad is painted. I overbrushed the rails with gunmetal and then made highlights with silver. This looks horrible, so I applied some brown pigment powder on the ground. This should help a bit. Yeah, now it looks quite okay for what it is. Something is missing, so I decided to build a mine cart, starting with a box shape made from cardstock. I used a few spruce bits to line the sides of the carts. Then I found a good bit for some kind of a hook that could attach this to another imaginary cart. I don't really know, but looks good though. I made wheels from egg carton. Easy, and then I painted the cart with black. I dry brushed all of it with gunmetal and then applied some copper on the wheels for good measure, and also on this bit. Using a white and a pointy stick, I was able to make nice looking rivets and bolts. Not bad. With these and some application of the brown pigment, our cart starts looking good enough. Okay, I have this dark wash I made from oil paints. This I applied in the recesses of the rock textures to make the stone even darker and higher in contrast. It is done, or so I think. This was fun and very simple to make, interesting, but perhaps not as impressive as many of my other builds. For making bases and ground textures, I do recommend using the wood filler if you want it done very quickly or if you don't have access to doing better methods. The wood filler is okay. Well, thanks for watching, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.